then in the desert, you actually run into Dyne, who is standing on a cliffside, and he's firing his gun into the air in like irritation. And you realize that the boss of Corel prison is Dyne.
Oh,
nice.
That's weird.
Which is a total change from Rebirth. So
he's running things?
Yeah, Dyne in the original is the boss of Corel prison. He's in charge. And I remember that now.
Interesting.
But at first I was like, oh, I had forgotten all about that.
That's kind of cool in a way. I kind of wish they would have kept that and brought it forward. But then again, Solemn Gus is awesome. So
yeah, you could make an argument that it would go well or be cool either way.
That gives him a reason to be there, because right now he's just shooting up stuff.
Yeah.
We cross paths at the exact right time for us to meet Dyne. It's a little bit serendipitous in the Rebirth version.
But it also kind of makes sense that like if you are semi-psychotic and have a gun for an arm, you probably would be the boss.
Yeah, or at least rash to where you don't have a care in the world and you'll do anything, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Like people are going to listen to you.
He kind of fits the MO of someone who would run a crazy joint like Corel Prison, but
I think I like what they did in Rebirth better, where they don't make him the boss, because I think it adds to the tragedy of the story. Like, he didn't have anyone. He had no place to be. He had no home, really.
Because that would kind of give him purpose, even though it's a bad purpose.
Right.
Like, if he's the... Yeah, you're right.
Exactly. So I think it's more powerful in Rebirth.
Yeah, I agree.
But it is interesting, and it still kind of works in the original game. It's just a different choice. So Barret, when we see Dyne in the original game, Barret asks if it's really him, and Dyne recognizes Barret's voice as one he hasn't heard in years. But when Barret steps forward, Dyne shoots at Barret's feet and stops him from walking. And he says, "I can hear her voice. What's that?" It's Eleanor's voice, begging me not to hate your rotten guts. That's why I never hunted you down.
Interesting.
Which is on theme for Rebirth, where Dyne says Eleanor would have wanted, to give Barret the benefit of the doubt.
Benefit of the doubt, yeah.
And then also in the original game, it's worth pointing out that whenever Dyne walks, he walks with a limp, as though he has a dead leg, which is interesting.
Well, I mean, he fell, so he probably broke his leg.
Yeah, but he fell in Rebirth too, and he was fine. You know? So in this, they give him like a limp. So the boss has a gun for an arm and a limp. And then from there, Barret asks Dyne why he wanted to kill a bunch of innocent people.
Right.
And Dyne responds by going off on Shinra for a minute, and then he says the reason why. He says, "'Cause I want to destroy everything. The people in the city itself, the whole world. I got nothing left in this world. Corel, Eleanor, Marlene, ...
Interesting.
That right there is absolutely Kefka Palazzo.
Yeah, like rip it all down, burn it all down.
Yeah. Any person who just doesn't care anymore.
He literally did destroy the world, right? In 6. So like the attitude is there.
Right.
Very Kefka-esque. And also I'll say like his dialogue here is much more on the nose in Original 7 than in Rebirth. But Rebirth has the advantage of using acting performances and character animation to communicate subtext better than just the written word, which is almost all we had aside from maybe some small animations, right? In Original 7. So they had to be more forthright with dialogue in the 1990s. It just makes sense.
It was harder back then to do these things for them.
The tools were definitely limited, right? And that's when Barret tells Dyne that Marlene is still alive, how he found her alive when the town was burned, and he suggests that they go see her, to which Dyne responds, "All right, Barret, then I guess you and me gotta fight."
Wow.
Which feels much more out of the blue here in original. And then Dyne tells us why we need to fight, which is pretty dark. He says, "Eleanor's all by herself. I gotta take Marlene to her."
Oh, that's freaky.
Right? So this is the moment where we realize in the original game that Dyne is not in his right mind.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually saying he needs to go kill his own daughter and probably himself.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's pretty dark. And then Barret literally asks him if he's crazy, like flat out asks him. And Dyne says, "Marlene wants to see her mom, don't she?" Proving that he actually is crazy. And that's what initiates a boss fight between Dyne and Barret.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I love these retrospectives just to go back and see.
It's interesting, huh? To see where they started.
Oh, man.
It's much harsher with Dyne's character in the original game than Rebirth, because in the original game, Dyne has gone so crazy with hatred that he wants to kill everyone, including his own daughter. Whereas in Rebirth, we have much more sympathy for Dyne because we see some hints of the man that he used to be, like how he questions the vengeful man he's become. And when he sheds a tear over Marlene's picture and doesn't threaten her life,
right?
Which is probably the right move, right? Not to do that. So props to the writers for these adjustments in Dyne's character. I think they were good changes, honestly, that made for a stronger story.
I mean, it's almost two completely different characters.
Yeah,
really.
It feels that way. Very much so with Dyne. They do feel very different.
This crime boss.
Yeah, he's a crime boss versus kind of pathetic in Rebirth. Pathetic's the wrong word. That's too strong. Like a lost cause. It's just so much more tragic, I think.
But he's like this wandering vagabond who murders Shinra at any chance he gets.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah. But like one of them definitely took like the pure dark arc with no redemption whatsoever.
Right.
And the other one tried to do the more modern Square Enix thing of, we have a deeper character that does have redeemable qualities.
Yep.
The chance that he might be redeemed is there.
Right.
That makes it what we've talked about already, is that he doesn't ultimately get there.
Yeah. So whereas before it's very cut and dry, very black and white, like you know what your choice and your decision are as the player. And in the new one, it's like, we're going to give you the ray of hope and then yank it away from you.
Yeah. That's true. And I would have no problems fighting Dyne if he says,
going to murder Marlene.
Well, we need to take care of Marlene. I'm like, you're dead, dude.
You're dead. Right.
So now you agree with my O Yeller analysis.
Oh, sure. I'm just saying
now we're going to take Dyne behind the barn and do what needs to be done.
Well, it's more of like, I'm protecting Marlene. I don't think Old Yeller, I guess like, if you want to make that analogy, Old Yeller could hurt someone.
Well, yeah, because the dog would have bit the boy and given him rabies. And then, so yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, now it makes more sense, Ernest, but only because the circumstances are completely different.
Completely different character. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I like what they did in Rebirth, right? It's better.
Yeah.
But also it's like, now you see why in original 7 it was written that way, because it was like,
that's dark.
This was a foregone conclusion. Yeah.
It's really interesting. And then the boss fight itself, I will tell you, is much easier in original 7 than it is in Rebirth. In the original game, it's basically just two guys shooting back and forth with their gun arms as the timer hits the point where you're allowed to shoot. And the only thing that really broke up just shoot was I summoned a lot of Chocobo Moogle summons throughout. So it'd be like shoot. Chocobo Moogle summon.
Because you're taking turns,
Shoot. Yeah.
Oh, now that you bring that up, I don't remember whether or not I had a summon materia equipped to Barret at all in the Rebirth version of this game. Did either of you have a summon materia and use it during the Dyne fight, or?
I don't know if it even lets you, because sometimes your summon meter has to charge before.
I don't remember.
That's so funny, because I fought for a long time, and I don't think I ever got the summon ability.
I don't even remember if I had a materia equipped to him.
You're breaking my brain now, Ernest, because I don't.
Because think about it.
I did have a summon materia equipped, and I don't think I ever used it.
I'm sure I had something equipped to him. I just don't think it ever popped up as an opportunity.
Maybe it doesn't let you.
The battle was so long, you would assume you would have hit the meter, right?
I don't think you can.
No, I just broke the game logic. I'm sorry, everybody.
No.
Yeah, I just used the fire in the hole limit break a bunch, which was my most effective move against Dyne, but I don't have any record of any summons at all during that fight, now that you mention it.
I never used a summon.
Normally in the boss fights, I would get a summon, at least one.
Yeah.
Right? So
they must have purposefully made it so that you can't.
Barret just summons Leviathan to like destroy.
He just wipes him out.
Go get him, Ifrit.
So in the original game, there's that boss fight. And so that's part of where Rebirth's boss fight idea came from, obviously. Although it does feel pretty organic in Rebirth, where they don't need to even have that in original to justify it, which I thought was cool. And then after Barret beats Dyne in the original game, they exchange very similar dialogue, at least an idea, as Rebirth, like how Dyne doesn't know how everything went wrong, how he still wants to destroy everything, including himself, and how his hands are too bloodstained to hold Marlene. But then he throws a pendant to Barret, like a necklace thing. And he says to give it to Marlene, that it was his wife, Eleanor's, as a memento. And then Dyne ponders the fact that Marlene is 4 years old, and he tells Barret, "Don't you ever make her cry." Then he limps to the edge of the cliff and purposefully falls backward off the edge of the cliff as Barret screams his name. So
he does commit suicide.
He does commit suicide here, which if anyone should know that cliffs are not a good way to die, it should be Dyne. Like
he survived the last one.
He could have survived. But I think the idea is this cliff was final, I guess.
Yeah.
Whatever. Maybe it's 2 miles long instead of 1 mile long. Whatever. But honestly, Dyne's story is tragic. And he actually like blatantly takes his own life in Original 7 as opposed to Rebirth, where he does the death by cop approach, which doesn't quite seem as self-cruel in a way. Like it just feels different, right? And then after Dyne falls off the cliffside, Barret falls to his knees and says that his hands aren't any cleaner, even though I disagree, and that he shouldn't carry Marlene either. And then he screams into the air and the scene fades away. So that's how the Dyne interaction goes down in Original 7.
Interesting.